You know that moment when you finally hit $20,000 saved and you feel like you've cracked some kind of secret code? Like the game just got a little easier and the world looks slightly different than it did before. Here's what nobody warned you about. That feeling you have right now, it's just the beginning. Because the financial thresholds that come after $20,000 don't just change your life a little more. They change it in ways that feel almost unfair compared to where you started. And the gap between where you are now and where you could be in a few years is so much smaller than you think. Most people who hit $20,000 assume the next stretch is going to feel exactly like the first one. Same grind, same discipline, same slow crawl toward a bigger number. But that's not how this works at all. The rules quietly rewrite themselves at every new level. And if you don't understand what's actually changing, you'll either panic and pull your money out at the wrong time, or worse, you'll get comfortable and stop doing the things that got you here. So let's talk about what actually happens after $20,000 and why each new milestone hits harder than the last. The first thing that changes is something you won't find in any spreadsheet. It's the way other people start treating you. Not because they know what's in your bank account, they don't, but because financial security leaks into everything about how you carry yourself. When you had nothing saved, you showed up to conversations with a quiet desperation that you probably didn't even notice. You laughed at your boss's bad jokes a little too hard. You said yes to plans you couldn't afford because saying no felt like admitting you were broke. You avoided money conversations with friends because every comparison left you feeling behind. After $20,000, that desperation starts fading. But here's what's wild. Somewhere around $40,000 to $50,000, it disappears almost entirely. You stop performing confidence and start actually feeling it. You're not faking calm anymore. You are calm. And people respond to that in ways that directly put more money in your pocket. Your negotiations get better because you're not negotiating from fear. Your relationships improve because you're not constantly stressed about splitting the bill or covering your share. Even your health gets better because financial stress is literally one of the top predictors of chronic illness and poor sleep. This is the part that compounds faster than any interest rate. Confidence breeds opportunity. Opportunity breeds income. Income breeds more savings. More savings breeds deeper confidence. Once this loop starts spinning, it accelerates on its own, and you start wondering why it ever felt so hard in the first place. Now let's talk about the math, because this is where things get genuinely wild. Remember how getting from $0 to $20,000 felt like pushing a boulder uphill for a year and a half? You were saving $1,000 a month, earning maybe 8% on your investments, and it took roughly 19 months of grinding to reach that first milestone. Your second $20,000 took about 17 months. 2 months faster. Nice, but not exactly earth-shattering. Here's where the curve bends. Getting from $40,000 to $60,000 takes about 15 months. From $60,000 to $80,000, roughly 14 months. By the time you're pushing from $80,000 to $100,000, you're looking at about 13 months. Each milestone is arriving faster than the last, even though you haven't changed a single thing about your behavior. Same savings rate, same investment strategy, same effort. But your money is now doing a bigger share of the work with every passing month. And then something almost absurd happens when you cross $100,000. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's business partner, once said that the first $100,000 is the hardest. He wasn't being motivational, he was being mathematical. Because after $100,000, your investment returns start generating more new wealth each year than most people's annual savings contributions. At an 8% return, $100,000 generates $8,000 per year on its own. That's like having an invisible roommate who pays $667 every month toward your financial future without ever eating your leftovers or leaving dishes in the sink. By the time you hit $200,000, that invisible roommate is paying $1,333 a month. At $300,000, it's $2,000. Your money is now earning more money each month than many people save in an entire year, and you're still contributing your regular $1,000 on top of that. The two forces working together create an acceleration that feels almost unfair when you compare it to those early months of scraping together every dollar. But the math isn't even the most interesting part. The most interesting part is what happens to your decision-making after you cross $50,000 and then $100,000, because your brain goes through a second rewiring that's even more powerful than the first one. When you crossed $20,000, your brain shifted from survival mode to stability mode. You stopped panicking about unexpected expenses. You started sleeping better. You began seeing opportunities instead of just threats. That was a massive upgrade. But somewhere around $50,000 to $75,000, your brain shifts again. This time from stability mode to strategy mode. In stability mode, you're still mostly thinking about protecting what you have. You're cautious with investments. You check your accounts a lot. You feel a little anxious when the market dips because you remember what it felt like to have nothing, and you don't ever want to go back there. That anxiety is normal, and honestly, it's healthy for a while. It keeps you disciplined. But in strategy mode, something different clicks. You stop thinking about money as something you need to protect and start thinking about it as a tool you deploy. A market dip doesn't scare you anymore. It excites you because you have enough capital to buy assets at a discount. A friend's business idea doesn't make you nervous. It makes you curious because you can afford to lose $5,000 or $10,000 without it destroying your financial foundation. A career risk that would have been unthinkable 2 years ago suddenly looks like a calculated bet with asymmetric upside. This is the mode where real wealth gets built, not through penny pinching or obsessing over coffee purchases, but through strategic deployment of capital and calculated risk-taking that's only possible when you have a real financial base underneath you. And here's the part that will probably frustrate you if you're still in the early stages. The people around you won't understand what's happening. Your friends who are still living paycheck to paycheck will think you got lucky or had some advantage they didn't. Your family might wonder why you're not spending more, since you clearly have money saved. Some people will even get uncomfortable around you because your financial discipline holds up a mirror to their own choices, and they don't love what they see. This is the loneliest part of the wealth building journey, and nobody talks about it. You're making progress that's invisible to everyone except your bank account. You're driving the same car, wearing the same clothes, living in the same apartment. But underneath the surface, everything has changed. Your net worth is climbing, your options are multiplying, your stress is dropping, and the compound interest curve that felt so flat for so long is finally starting to bend upward in a way you can actually see. The temptation at this stage is to prove your progress by spending, to upgrade your lifestyle so the outside matches the inside. And look, there's nothing wrong with spending money on things you genuinely value, but the people who build lasting wealth understand something that lifestyle inflators never figure out. Every dollar you spend to look wealthy is a dollar that could have been working to make you actually wealthy. The flashy car, the designer clothes, the luxury apartment, these things signal wealth to other people while quietly draining it from your account. Meanwhile, the person who keeps their lifestyle modest while their net worth climbs is building something that no purchase can match. They're building freedom. Not the kind of freedom where you quit your job and sit on a beach. That gets boring in about 3 weeks. Real freedom is waking up on a Monday and going to work because you want to, not because you have to. It's choosing projects based on how interesting they are instead of how much they pay. It's saying no to things that drain you without worrying about the financial consequences. It's having the space to think about what you actually want from life instead of being trapped in an endless cycle of earning and spending. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need millions to start feeling this. The shift begins at $20,000. It deepens at $50,000. It transforms at $100,000. And somewhere between $200,000 and $500,000, you cross a line where going back to your old financial life becomes almost impossible. Not because you can't spend the money, but because you've become a fundamentally different person than the one who started this journey. Your habits are different. Your thinking is different. Your relationship with risk and reward and patience has been completely rebuilt. That version of you is already out there waiting. The only distance between who you are today and who you become is a series of boring, consistent, unsexy financial decisions made over and over again until the math takes over and does the heavy lifting for you. The first $20,000 changed how you feel about money. Everything after it changes how money feels about you.